Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is no escape whatsoever. My name is Joe.
And I'm Carolyn.
You guys are listening to Carolyn and Joe Show Podcember. This is for December 5th. December 5th. 5 days in December. We got still up to, I don't know. If you guys don't know, Podcember is what we're doing. It's what we call Podcember, where we do a podcast every single day, all 31 days of December. It seemed like it made sense for us to come back with a fury.
But you know what's crazy? As soon as we finish this episode, that means we're nearly 1/6 away. From
1/6 away.
Done.
Holy crap! And just so you guys know, my name is Joe Carabay. I'm a filmmaker, photographer, a writer, a musician, and today I'm a podcaster. And across from me, in her own soundproof booth over here at the Straight Production Studios. You know, it's just like the Robin. It's just like the best thing. She's the greatest thing in the whole entire world. Her name is Carolyn Bolevsky. How are you doing, Carolyn?
I'm doing good. Did you say I was like the Robin?
You know, like like Robin, like in what's it called? In the Howard Stern show. Remember she's in her own booth?
Oh, I was thinking like Batman and Robin. I was like, is Robin really the best thing?
No, I wasn't comparing like that.
I was like, that's where my mind went to. And then the second thing I thought of was the bird. Like a Robin Bird, and then I didn't get the Howard reference, but now I totally get it. Now we get it.
I
totally get it.
It's a quick cut. It's a quick thing. Let's cut right into it. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. You know, we're doing this show every single day. We might as well make it a little topical. Bryan Singer got fired from the Bohemian Rhapsody docu-film. Not docu-film, but film about Freddie Mercury starring, what's his face? Mr. Robot. But it's not Mr. Robot. He didn't play Mr. I guess he is Mr. Robot.
We'll just call him Mr. Robot because that's what he's.
What's his name?
For.
Malik? I forget his name.
I don't actually know his name,
but Terrence
I know.
Malick,
I know he's straight up Egyptian.
Straight up Egyptian.
Yeah.
But like it's a unique situation because.
So what happened?
I mean,
I don't know the details. I just saw a headline.
Like Bryan Singer just was like, I just don't feel like showing up.
He just stopped coming to work.
So like he from what I've read, I'm not there on the scene, but Bryan Singer. Has been either late or just hasn't shown up to set like several times, and it's Malik's pretty mad, has been upset about that, and he's shown up so many times. He hasn't shown up so many times that the DP actually took his place and directed for his spot instead of him, and then that built tension between Mr. Robot and Mr. Robot and Bryan Singer. You know, of course, if your director is not there, how are you supposed to connect? But also, it's like, you know, you get this thing. Like he's very unprofessional. You know, so I guess they had like a falling out, and I read that they had even battles. One battle, like, you know, Bryan Singer like threw something at Mr. Robot.
Oh my goodness!
But like he's
not coming to work because he doesn't enjoy working with Rami Malek?
Rami Malek, that's his name.
His
Rami
name
Malek.
came to me.
Rami Malek, yeah.
So he didn't enjoy the lead? Or?
I don't know. It seems like an amazing thing. It seems like Rami Malek is doing an amazing job, at least from what I've seen on the images. I actually followed Bryan Singer specifically so I can see behind the scenes of Rami Malek being Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's sort of like weird. It's a then like. You know, so they've had their battles.
So the studio I'm assuming the studio knew all this and that the DP was taking over, but then
he would just not show up, and so he had to take over. And then all of a sudden, after the Thanksgiving break, he just never showed up ever again.
Now, question about working on film sets. I know this is an odd case because usually the director does show up, but in the case of like, is it like a presidency thing where like, you know, if the president dies, then the vice president takes over?
No.
Like how does the DP step up though?
There's two different jobs.
I know it is. That's why
I'm
saying. So like, how does it get to that point where like, I know obviously everyone's on set and they're like, well, you know, time and money, we need to get this thing going. Yeah. So then like, obviously the DP's like, okay, guys, I'm going to be the director now. And then
because he does command the set to a degree too. You have the assistant director, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, you're following the vision of the director who doesn't have to touch anything.
But do they call like the main studio head and then they're like, yeah, Mr. Singer did not come to set again today.
Yeah,
for, like,
because you're
the 20th time. And then they're like, well, what should we do? And then they're like, oh, I guess the DP just Do something.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're all working for the whoever made the film and the producers too, who are above power.
So are
everywhere.
they going to hire a new director, or are they going to let the DP just continue?
No, they're going to hire a new director.
Oh.
You can't that's. I mean, unless the DP wants to be a director, but that's a heavy. Unless you're Steven Soderbergh or Robert Rodriguez.
But that could be like a door that opens up for that DP.
If he wants, if he wants to, but also it's sort of just like a lot of people you want to focus on your craft. At the
Instead
same time.
of directing, though. But then it could open up a door to directing. Maybe that's what they want to do.
Maybe it's not what he wants to do, though.
I've heard so many people say like they don't want to direct.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're just like,
it's a high pressure situation.
It's too much. Like,
but it's, hey, what's up, son? Son, he's like, I saw him say hi.
Hey.
But he also like when Bryan Singer, like he didn't show up for 3 or 4 more days, and then the studio made a decision just to fire him.
I wonder how many total days.
They're shooting in London. They're shooting like in the UK, I think. So
I wonder how many total days he's missed.
I don't know,
like,
but they said,
when does it get to that level where like, okay, you're out? You know what I mean? Like they let 1 day slip, they let 2 days slip.
Well, it has to be a certain
amount. When does it get to that level?
You have 2 more weeks. They said they have 2 more weeks to finish this film, or 2 more weeks of photography. That's up. So they got to find someone to fix that.
That's not even that much time.
Son, if you have a question, I'm going to answer it, buddy.
But okay, so how long have they already shot?
Now, what's amazing is I've been through
this. Do you know how much they've already completed?
I mean, apparently a lot, because if you have 2 weeks left.
But it could be a thing where like they're only filming for so long.
Well, I feel like I've already they've been filming for a while, so it's not one of those things. But I heard that's what's been building up is like that tension between.
How do you just not show up to work when you're like a household name?
What are you talking about?
Like people know who Bryan Singer is. How can you just not show up to work?
I mean, I think there's
like
a lot
I can understand like you can have a discussion about like what the problems are. Obviously, there are going to be problems. Nothing is like a happy rainbow set, necessarily. But like, how I just don't understand how it gets to the level of not even showing up.
Well, I feel like there has to be up to it. Maybe there has to be something going on, because I know for me, it's like if I was in that position, and then this might be, of course, me, I'm just starting in this filmmaking world. It's like I want to direct, I want to be there every day, but I know that it's also a heavy position to be in too. You know what I mean? That's a lot of pressure.
Position,
I've been on films where like the directors quit, and that was only in the first week. So
I'm out.
I've been on those projects before, so I don't understand, but I've seen it. I've seen that happen. So.
I mean, I know at one of my previous jobs, literally somebody just got up out of their seat and walked out the door.
Yeah.
And we never saw him again.
But I wonder what that tension could be, because I don't know what the.
But like, when you get in like major trouble just for doing that, it's just part of it is like you have to just suck it up. And if he has 2 weeks left, it's like just suck it up and do your 2 weeks.
But see, here's the thing with Bryan Singer. It's like now when that started happening and this story broke, or like started to get released, then people were saying like, oh yeah, this isn't the first time he's like just randomly disappeared either.
That's not good though, because then you're not gonna like, obviously rumors are gonna go around and you're never gonna get hired again.
Yeah. And then of course a lot of people are like, oh, he's the next guy, he's the one on your list, on the Carolyn list. What was it?
It's not called the Carolyn list. Okay, first of all, but it's called the sexual assault
and battery.
No, sexual assault prediction poll.
Yeah, maybe because after that, people were like, it wasn't even a soft thing that people were doing. Like, he's probably next. That's why he's not showing up.
Do you think that's why?
I don't know, but like, if that's,
he doesn't want to even like be caught in the crossfire.
If there's a pressure towards that could be potentially doing that. But I'm like, finish your freaking job still, though, man.
I don't know.
It's like, to me, it's like if you start, I'm under the idea if you start something, just finish it. You know what I mean? Just sort of. It's like he's already been doing this for so long. Unless like tensions have been really building with Rami Malek.
I feel like if you're on like the SAP list and you know that you're on it,
Yeah.
Like, I would be scared. Like, I wonder if there's a whole bunch of guys in Hollywood that are straight up like shaken.
I hope they all are, because like really they shouldn't be doing that stuff.
Oh my God.
Quite as simple as that. I don't feel like it's not really.
And
they
the crazy thing is,
on
a lot of them too, is like what Harvey Weinstein's now is like up to like, I think over 60 women now, maybe over 70 or something. I can't remember the exact total, but it's like wow, you think that one would be bad enough, and now it's like in the dozens and hundreds for some of these people?
Now, here's the thing: is
it's
why
like, how do you abuse like pretty much like hundreds of women?
Well, see, this was sort of this is to me why, you know, personally. I'm not saying the part you're talking about, but why I think the Rami Malek and the Bryan Singer thing sticks out to me is that, like, I was looking, like, to me, I was like, oh, does this mean the film is
gonna suck?
Is it gonna suck, or is it not gonna come out, or is it not? It
might be jambled.
Yeah, and like I was like looking at pictures of Rami Malek being like Freddie Mercury, and I was like, damn, he's gonna be a freaking. He looks like Freddie Mercury, and I can't even like picture him like talking like a Freddie Mercury, because all I remember Mr. Robot saying like, "Oh, you guys seeing what I'm seeing?" You know? And then for him to go be Freddie Mercury and be like, you know,
is that how he talks?
You know, like that's what he. That's
how does Freddie Mercury talk in a regular conversation?
Not because he has like a British type accent, and then but like, you know, when he was doing the
I'm sure he's working with a vocal coach.
But like when he was doing like the big, like when he's trying to command the crowd, he does like that, like, and I can't picture like Rami Malek being like, oh, okay, so we gotta take over the world now.
Is he just like, we are the champions, my friends?
So we have a question from Sun, world champion Sun. Want me to read it to you?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So he says, hey, you guys think all these sexual allegations will surface the WWE realm, and how would it affect the product?
WWE.
And I was just actually, Son, I was just actually reading this. This is on Facebook for you guys. Facebook stories. Keep on sending your stories. Keep on sending your questions. I actually feel like I was reading an article on this actually over the weekend of like, hey, back in the day, like women weren't really treated all that well in the WWE. I mean, like, you think about it, it is a man-centric,
man's world.
You hear like,
not just in wrestling and everywhere, it's a man's world, except for the kitchen maybe.
And you used to hear like stories of like Randy Orton like terrorizing like the divas, you know, like, and stuff like that. Or I mean, it's a rib central thing. Like guys would, you know, be like ribbing everybody, like just pulling pranks and doing all types of stuff. It wasn't really like I feel like a female zone in the back, in the backstage area. And I feel like, but that might be a thing of the past, because, you know, it is a testosterone thing.
But they're digging up old other people's stuff from 20 years ago. So I mean, it might be brought up. I feel like it's already out there though, you know, and it sucks, but
I feel like back in the day there was probably a lot.
Boys will be boys.
But I do feel like back in the day there was probably a lot of it, like a lot of just it's rock and roll lifestyle. You know what I mean? That's just, if we're talking about like sexual allegations, like with the rock and roll world, and in general, it's like females were treated like just like toys back then. But then that's the way they wanted it. But in wrestling, it's.
I hate to even speak ill of this, but there are photos that I've seen online from like, you know, I'm on the board of National Cartoonist Society, and I have seen photos from, and I don't know what year this was, but they were black and white photos, so that I guess that takes you back to that time period.
Or they're just artsy.
Or they're trying to be artsy. But it was I'll have to look up what generation, what year it was, but it was from, you know, the golden days, I guess, of advertising, Mad Men days. And like every year at National Cartoonist Society, we get together for, it's called Reuben Awards Weekend, and it's basically like the Oscars of cartooning. People are literally wearing tuxedos and very fancy dresses, and everyone gets together for this one big shindig award ceremony and dinner, and it's a really nice evening. But there was one Reubens from back in the day where like male cartoonists, mostly white male men cartoonists, are drawing on these like beautiful model women, and they are wearing, I believe they are wearing white bikinis.
White bikinis.
And I don't know if they're bikinis or one pieces. I really can't remember. I'll have to like, again, dig up these images somewhere. But they're drawing on like their swimsuits, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, that would never happen now. But I think that's a sign of the times. Like, I'm not saying that I agree what they did is right or wrong. you know, maybe those women were hired as models. Because you go to the car show.
They were hired,
You can go to like Comic-Con or a car show and see like women be objectified in that sense. Like, I'm not going to go to that full strength, you know, feminism to be like, oh man, they're so objectivized and blah, blah. Well, obviously, like, they could have got paid for that gig, you know, to be like, oh, come here and wear some swimsuits, and like you'll have the top like cartoonists be able to draw cartoons on your body and on your swimsuit. Like, there might be some girl that's like super into that. Like, they'll be like, oh cool, I got like Beetle Bailey drawn on me. You know, like they, or like I got Blondie, that's so cool. You know, like they might be digging that. Like, who knows, some girl might be really thinking that that's awesome.
But let's think about what these...
nowadays I feel like that would never happen.
But let's think about what these like and let's break it down to like what these sexual allegations are. It's usually like men of power trying to like move up on women or trap them and do stuff like that. You know, in any way of abuse or, you know, I don't know how to really classify it other than just disgustingness. And you put that into the wrestling world, it would have to be people of power. And like there's only so many people that actually have power. It's like, okay, are we an indie promoter? It's like, is someone like, hey,
I just hope
if you want to be a female wrestler, you need to, you know, watch me jack off over here or something like that.
It's the only people of power really is just Vince and Triple H.
But also like in the indie scene, how far do they want to go too? You do have stories of like ring rats and people like that.
That's more of like a not a Band-Aid, but what's the other
it's sort of like that, like a groupie.
A groupie, that's what I was thinking of.
But like I don't think, but that's more the like rock and roll.
That's more of like a woman that's like, oh, I want to sleep with you. That's like a little bit different because that's more consensual. Does that make sense? It's still kind of creepy. Could be creepy.
It's funny. I don't know if it's funny, but I actually don't believe that anyone, or at least like I don't feel like Vince McMahon would do that.
I hope he wouldn't.
No, but there's something in my head that I feel like, okay, like all the other stuff, but it just seems like sort of like what I mean, like what he's trying to, like, you know, people are like, oh, like, you know, the, what is it, like the what's his face, I don't know who you're what's the comedian who had
Louis C.K.?
Yeah, it's like, you know, Louis C.K. had to like go up to people and like, hey, can I is it okay if I look at you and masturbate and stuff, like, you know, that stuff. I don't feel like Vince is that type of guy.
I hope he isn't. Like, that's just wrong.
No, but see, Vince seems like the type of guy that's like if he really, really wanted to, or anyone like in power, if they really wanted to, they're smart enough to be like, hey, I'm gonna pay you. You know, I'm actually, he'll buy top quality product. You know, whatever, you know, prostitutes or hoes or escorts or what, and have it done legally. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
That seems like the way to go, as opposed to being like, hey, Sable, you know, I don't.
That's just wrong.
But the second half of the question was, how would it affect the product? I mean, I feel like you'd probably.
I don't think it would be good.
You would see a lot more Stephanie McMahon taking power over people.
I feel like WWE is trying to, like, I have seen great strides in that company to try to not be like how we are describing, like, these horrible guys doing these actions. Like, I know that sometimes it's funny because they're wrestlers, and like you need to have a heel and you need to have a face, so you need to have a bad guy and a good guy to like put on a story, but yet they are promoting their bullying campaign, Be a Star. But I feel like Be a Star is a good thing to have. A lot of elementary school kids pay attention to it, and perhaps they know like how wrestling works with the storylines, and they can navigate their way into like not making fun of people for whatever reason, like deformity. Like there's that new movie Wonder about like the deformities. Yeah. And I haven't seen it yet, but it's like a child has some type of facial deformity, and people, I guess, learn from him not to be bullies and not, you know, to accept people for who they are and stuff like that. So I feel like WWE is doing a lot of outreach too with St. Jude and the breast cancer research. They do a lot of charity work, and I feel like that helps people. Like, that helps any of this stuff be preventative, because someone can easily argue, like, oh, it's wrestling, people are beating each other up, and, like, oh, it's so horrible, and, like, all these things, and just point out all the violence. but then WWE can just combat that and be like, well, we've done this and this and this and this and this, and like we've raised $1 zillion for all these charities.
And I feel like also like professional wrestling and
Connor's Cure.
Yeah, like professional wrestling in general, they already have such an uphill battle of trying to be legit and trying to be respectful, like a respected art, that like even that type of thought process, doing that is like the stupidest thing anyone can do in that industry. You know what I mean? Because it's like you already have enough time having people respect you as being a professional wrestler. It's like now you gotta throw that shit. It's like you don't even get credibility in the real world, I feel like sometimes.
Yeah. I hope that no one is doing that sexual abuse in WWE. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, like,
it's just like, I feel like it would ruin the company for a while. And it depends how like top down, how big, you know, the wrestlers are. Because there's been travesties with WWE, like with people personally, like top thing would be Benoit.
I bet there's always like, there's more like just like, you know, like ribbing and pranks and stuff like that. Like, so I remember like maybe Randy Orton, like, you know, like, took like a crap in like one of the Divas like bags or something like that.
That's stupid.
But those are like the little childhood like ribs that they used to do back in the day.
Well, I think
maybe
hopefully
I don't know.
He's changed. You know, you'd like to think that he's changed by now. But the other thing is too,
a couple $1 million will change you. And also, if you have one more strike against you and you're fired, that might do it too.
But that whole saying like boys will be boys, like, okay, obviously wrestling is a male dominated sport.
Yeah.
Same thing with comedy. Like, yeah, there are female comedians, but it's just very hard to be a female comedian. It's very hard to be a female wrestler. It's very hard to be like a female almost any profession.
Yeah, it's hard to, yeah.
Like, seriously. I mean, yeah, there are some professions that are majority female, like nursing is like 95% nursing. That's more reverse. Maybe more.
Because really people didn't even know that guys can be nurses. Well, nurses in a way already was already like, oh, isn't that like a female?
Nursing is totally female dominated. But there are male nurses.
I have plenty of cousins that are nurses, that are males, that are guys.
They are, they are, but it is a revert. You know, there's a lot of female teachers.
Maybe they need to change that name. But like because nurse was already like grounded to or attached to females in general.
I don't really think of it as a male.
You know what's weird? Growing up, I always thought that the female doctor was nurse.
See, that's kind of sad though. It's like you have the male and then it's like, oh, the female helps, she's the nurse. But nurses actually put in a ton of work.
Nurses are better anyway. They're the healers.
It's kind of crazy though, but yeah, I would say nurse is the #1 female dominated. Yeah, there are a lot of industries that are more female than male, but now it is harder to navigate the world as a female, definitely. And even like things like art, you think that there'd be like a lot of female artists, right? Like just because, oh, it's like painting and
I mean, there are a lot of female. I remember when I was going to school, there was a lot more girls than
in school.
Yeah.
But it's crazy though, because then once you get professional, I'll say like as a cartoonist, there are definitely female cartoonists. But if you look at like the newspaper, it's like less than 10% probably. You know,
because then
it's still male dominated.
It's male dominated because the heads of state are males.
There are some female tastemakers out there,
and they hold their own ideals. You know, because they probably come from a time where like girls would make fun of them for drawing cartoons.
But it's still 90%, even with DC and Marvel, it's still like 90% male.
Also, if you look at like the history books of artist history books, how many females do you see in that?
Not that many.
I mean, you can't just count George O'Keeffe all the time either.
Why don't you imagine being a young female in like elementary school, sitting in class, and then right above the chalkboard you see pictures of all the presidents. Yeah. And there's no female.
And then the NBA.
All of it, man. And then you talk about like, you know, you just said in school there are more females in your art classes, which I think is
photo, yeah.
It's crazy to me how like there's more females getting educated at a higher education in college than there is males right now. That's like been documented. But then like females aren't as respected at all in so many different industries.
It's really actually unique. I feel like I have a unique upbringing where I feel like I've been more surrounded by females in power than guys. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how that plays out, but it's always been like I've been working with majority of female producers. You know, like, you know, I guess majority of my teachers were also female. Yeah, that was also a thing. I always felt like a lot of my teachers growing up were female.
Yeah.
Actually, very few were guys. Probably like if it was the PE teacher or like history, the more masculine of the classes. I don't know.
What about math?
Math. Trying to remember.
I feel like I had a lot of male math teachers.
Male math teachers. Yeah. English. My English teacher was always female majority of the time, except for one. I feel like. But yeah, that's just, you know. But still, like, back into the subject of Rami Malek. I hope that movie comes out, because that to me was also like his big.
Well, it is going to come out though, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they've already invested so much in it. They're not going to axe it. But I'm questionable as to if it's going to be good though. That's the thing. It feels like it's getting handed off.
I mean, it's a biopic.
Yeah, but you know, you don't get one vision. To me, that seems like the whole thing is like, imagine if you have a puzzle completed and then somebody knocks it on the floor.
And Bryan Singer,
I'm not showing up to work.
Bryan Singer is, I feel like, a pretty solid director, though. He definitely has a voice that I've seen throughout all the X-Men movies.
Well,
and
you said that he's done it before. In what other film has he walked out?
From what I read, he was like, even on X-Men Apocalypse, he was like, he would disappear.
Maybe that's what he does. Maybe that's how the magic's made.
Man. Yeah, no one wants to. Yeah, that's how he needs to go out.
That's his magic, man.
I just know that I don't like it when I know like if I'm working on a film and like the heads, like the director or someone like disappears.
They're not even there.
Because it throws off. Because I feel like a film crew is so crucial for the camaraderie and the what's it called, the mental state of everyone in the project. That.
Okay, so like I'll just be straight up at 2 agencies I've worked at. And I've mostly worked in like advertising or graphic design agencies, and straight up at 2 of my previous employers, the owners would either not be there, or they'd be there and like wouldn't talk to anybody. Which now that I think about it, I'm like, that's kind of messed up.
But who do they usually talk to? Don't you have like project manager or something like that?
Yeah, but like in one case, like, he would just be like in his own office and like would never come out.
Just like Howard Hughes just Howard Hughes stays.
And like I got like, and I was there for like a while, and like he only helped me with like one project once.
Well, good riddance then.
I'm just saying,
good
like
riddance.
I'm like to me that's like you're like the head director of the studio, and like you never do anything like hands on, you know, like. And then the other one was like, they were just on vacations, and then they would come in wearing like their Hawaiian shirts like when they came back, and then like they would never be there. So it's I guess there are some heads of state that literally never come to work.
They're so powerful.
They're so powerful that they don't even have to come to work.
Have to come to work. But on a film set, the director should be there.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's
the director needs to communicate with the talent, and you know.
But isn't it crazy though, like how like there is like directors that are like heads of state, and everyone's like, wow, look, they own their own company, blah blah, or whatever, or like, oh, they're directing, and then they're like not even there, or they're there but they're not communicating at all.
That's weird to me.
It is weird to me because I'm more like a hands-on person. Like if I had my own studio, I wouldn't want to be up in everyone's face, but like I would want to know what's going on, and like
to make everyone feel like they're part of the team,
like say hi to people and stuff. Yeah. You know, like it is kind of crazy how like I worked with somebody for 4 years and they never said hi or anything. Not just to me, but like to anybody, and like it was like in and out. We didn't even like know that they were there. Like just a ghost,
a phantom ghost.
Yeah. I can't believe that. But that's what happened. And there's like no interaction with like anything.
You're the person that sent me the text about the Bryan Singer one too. I heard about him not showing up, but you're the one that confirmed that he got fired from me.
Oh, really?
You sent me that text. I was like, oh, I knew he was going to get him replaced.
Boom. Variety.
And then
get all your news from Variety, and then they'll send it to you.
Then after that, I was like, oh, I read like, oh, House of Cards going to continue filming without Spacey.
I had a feeling that was going to happen because people were calling for Robin Wright to like just continue the series.
It just makes sense that that's the way to go, right?
I don't know if I should continue watching House of Cards because I was into it for like the first season, second season, something like monumental happened in the beginning, and then I just kind of stopped watching. Not because I hated it, but just because life, I guess. And then I started actually watching it right before the Kevin Spacey news broke. I watched like 2 more episodes, and then now I'm like, should I even continue watching this?
No, it's a spoiler. Why not? If the story is good, right?
I don't know. I kind of just feel indifferent about it. Like, I'm not like, I need to know what happens now. I'm kind of just like, I want to check it out, and I've invested some time in it, but then I guess I could live life without knowing what happens in House of Cards.
Maybe. It
does kind of suck, though, because then all those people lost their jobs. Like, right down to, like, catering or...
Yeah. Well, hopefully they get more
furnishings. Everybody.
Yeah, but now not anymore because they're going to continue.
For one more season.
Well, yeah. I feel like that's as long as they're going to go anyway.
That's quite true.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. December 5th. Locked and loaded. Ready for you to enjoy for the rest of the day. If you guys enjoy this song is run by Monday Mistress. Download it. Pay for all the songs. MondayMistress.com. It's an awesome album, I've got to say. But also, this show is brought to you by Stray Productions. Check them out at StrayProductions.com. Check out my work, JoeCarabeo.com. Go astray.tumblr.com. Find me on Instagram at AstrayJ, at AstrayJ, and at JoeCarabeo_photography. What do you got, Carolyn?
Oh, wow. I have a website. It's CarolynBelevsky.com. And you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Carolyn Belevsky. Keep it simple like that. I just use my name.
Slice and dice. I felt like it's a perfect time for us to record this episode today a little bit earlier. I know people on Facebook thought it was going to be 9:30, but I was watching Raw. Roman Reigns was on, and I was like, I might just start recording now. I'll just go right past it.
Works for me.
Works for me.
Sooner the better.
But maybe when we come back after this, go back to watching Raw, that Matt Hardy has been woke. Check out this show, CarolynandJoeShow.com, iTunes, Stitcher Radio. There you go. My name is Joe.
And I'm Carolyn.
Be excellent to each other, everybody.
You're bona fide.
See you tomorrow. Tomorrow.